It's been a while since I've done a Steven Universe review, and I feel like I need to do something about that, which is why today we're talking about the second issue of the... Is it Kaboom Studios? I don't even know. The Kaboom Steven Universe comic series. Do these individual issues have titles? I looked it up on the Steven Universe wiki, and the wiki entry for this comic literally starts... Issue number 2 is the second issue of the Steven Universe comic book series published by Kaboom, which implies that they don't have individual titles, which bums me out, because I'd like to put the individual titles in my titles. But that's beside the point. That's an algorithm thing. Not going to bother you guys with that. That said, if you guys recall way back in whatever year it was that I reviewed the first of these, was it this year? It might have been this year. This year's been like a decade long, though, so I don't even remember. Whenever I reviewed it, I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. This one, though, I really enjoyed a lot, which is weird, because the last one, at least the majority of it, was a gem monster episode, a corrupted gem episode, a monster of the week episode, the kinds of episodes that I tended to really like about early Steven Universe, whereas this one was a townie episode. In comic form, obviously. Which, I mean, I think I tend to like the townie episodes more than a lot of reviewers, but I still definitely preferred the lore stuff when I watched through the show the first time. So it feels kind of weird that it seems like there's that bit of a reversal here. Which is not to say there isn't even any gem stuff in this one at all. In fact, I think the character stuff in this story was the best part. The plot of the episode is that Steven is finally old enough to participate in the extreme bike race in Beach City. But the gems are legally too old to participate, so they don't want him doing it because they worry he'll get himself hurt without them there to protect him. And this is after Connie's come into the story. So he must have access to his bubble, but this must be before he learned how to control it. This also would have to be placed after the episode Future Vision, because we actively see Garnet using Future Vision. So I need to go back now and see if we learn about Future Vision before Steven gets a handle on how to use his bubble. Because if not, then their worry over Steven's safety seems a little unfounded. But that's not even... Like, the plot of the episode specifically isn't even the best part. It's just a vehicle. Hardy hard, because it's a bike race. Yes, that was an intentional pun. That is the best I can do in terms of comedy. Don't know why you guys watch my videos. But the plot of the episode is just a vehicle to explore a couple of interesting character things. First of all, the gems worrying. In spite of the fact that they take Steven on dangerous missions to fight monsters and fix broken temples and stuff. To which the gems respond that they don't worry about him as much in those situations because they're there to help him. And we do see from the show proper that they still worry about him in those situations. It took a while for him to convince them to let him come along in these situations where they're already prepared for danger. But like Steven straight out calls them out for it. And I don't remember that ever happening in the show. I don't remember Steven ever saying, "But you let me fight monsters, that's dangerous," in the show. It was very refreshing. There's a lot of refreshing stuff about this story. In fact, but by far the best part of the entire thing was his talk with Greg. He eventually goes to Greg to get Greg's permission to enter instead, which I didn't even think Greg was allowed to overrule the gems, but sure. And they have a little talk about why the gems wouldn't understand why Steven would be okay doing this, because they're basically indestructible intergalactic warriors who live forever and don't grow up, and they don't really understand children. So they don't understand, and this is how Greg puts it, that everything that humans do is a risk. And it goes unsaid in that moment that more times than not, more often than not, the risk is going to be worth taking. And he uses falling in love as an example, which means even now, looking back on all the pain that it caused him, even removed from the question of whether or not Steven would exist, because I don't think that was on his mind at the moment, he still considers being with Rose worth the risk, worth the pain. It was a nice little moment, the kind of moment you didn't get much in the show proper from characters like Greg. It was cool. And yet it felt entirely in keeping with the tone of not just early Steven Universe, but Steven Universe as a whole. As did the absolute bonkers plan that the 3 individual crystal gems had to try to keep Steven safe. They put bonkers early series gem tech, nothing that we've seen before, but like the kind of bonkers early series gem tech that we got early in the series into his bike. And it all comes together to make his bike super fast, and he ends up shooting off seemingly all over the stinking planet. And I say seemingly, and this is what I think was the most refreshing thing about the entire comic for me. We don't follow Steven. Like, it took me a second to realize, why does this scene feel so unique to me? Oh, it's not from Steven's perspective. Steven is off shooting all over the place, and we're following Greg and the gems as they try to pin down where he is so they can use the warp to get to the closest gem installation to that place and try to rescue him. And there's like a certain amount of desperation in their tone and their body language, their tones and their body language. And Garnet is constantly recalculating with her future vision, trying to get a better lock on him, which makes me think, man, she really should have used future vision before he got on the bike to see that he was definitely going to shoot off at super speed on his bike the moment he sat down on it. But whatever. Garnet using her future vision at exactly the wrong times is a running joke in the show, so I'm just going to let it drop. No, it's not even a running joke in the show. It's a running joke about the show. But still, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to let it go, because when it really came down to her needing to use it, she used it to try to help Steven by finding him. But he ends up making it back on his own. If I recall correctly, he got second place somehow with his super bike. But it was just very good. It felt like an episode of the show, except for that whole thing about there being parts of it that weren't from Steven's perspective. Because the little aside that we got, where it showed the 3 gems planting tech on the bike, was also not from Steven's perspective, technically. But aside from that, which is something that I feel like should have been in the show anyway, this felt just like an episode of the show. I liked this a lot. The art was still, I think, just kind of okay. But the dialogue, the writing, was all absolutely fantastic. It all felt so on the script for this show that thinking back on it, I feel like I just watched an episode of the show. Oh, actually, according to the wiki, this one's just titled Bike Race. Okay. It was further down the page because there's also a smaller story in it called Lion Tamer, which I forgot to talk about because it was there. It was fine. The best thing about it was a single panel where we see that apparently Onion has a pet alligator, which isn't even the weirdest thing about Onion. I can't believe I can say that, but it's absolutely true. But yeah, it was just kind of a cutesy, short bit of icing on the cake of what was otherwise an amazing comic book story. If you haven't read these Kaboom Studios comics, I think this one alone, out of the 2 that I've read personally, should be reason enough for you to try to get your hands on them and check them out. I also just realized that I've been recording this entire video with my camera microphone, so hopefully it doesn't sound like butt. We'll find out. If I have to record the whole thing again, I will, but I'm really not going to enjoy it. Alright, anyway, if you guys have read the second issue of the Steven Universe Boom Studios comics, titled Bike Race and Lion Tamer, what did you guys think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.